back with you here on the sound of New Start 93 FM. This broadcast is coming to you live from the studios of the station here on the Mona campus of the University of the West Indies. We are going to the phone lines. Just to remind you of the numbers to call. There is 212-9824 and 462-0919. Good morning, caller. Welcome to Straight Up.
Morning, brother Marlon. How you do?
Yeah, greetings, Father Fox. We're there. We're going there.
Well, me there give a thanks. Marlon, me tell you say, you Peter Bunting, you see man catch and put a mouth disease, my virgin. Eh?
Why you say that?
You know the man bought a moon, my virgin, and the man gone. A political platform and I talk about the Prime Minister turn up and the officials and you tell the man where the money go. Eh? You know, see the man is sick, brother. Eh? You see them here go talk with Conrad. I mean, I said to Conrad, say, Conrad, all the while me you come and come talk and I say, going into the election, the people have the Prime Minister's decoration that 30 side. So when me ask him, he say, what are you trying to imply? You say, Prime Minister guilty of something? He say, no. So you see, they're not going to mess it, brother. They're going to find someone who can do Uncle Marlon.
They want this election to be about all kind of dopey story. The gift that Kevin Stevenson gave them. Yes? But they're sadly mistaken because the truth is, Fox, what this upcoming election will be about is what is being said by the opposition PNP, all the dopey stories, versus the tangible and demonstrable things before the eyes of the people of Jamaica, including people as a school bus, Fox, are roll into Jamaica. They pitney them with their Portland, as will the case be elsewhere across Jamaica. Those students and their parents across Jamaica will see something happening that has never before happened in the history of this country. School bus will be taking them to school. You are seeing crime reduction and in particular murder reduction. 38.4% reduction in murders up to yesterday, I gather. We had a murder-free day on Monday. But we know that these developments, though they are welcome news and good news, it's very bad news for some people. We know that.
You know, see that you start split now. You know, see the PNP with Mark Bowling. You know, see the whole of them turn around now, so they want to come by police side. That them people here got the state of emergency, you know, my brethren, when Jamaica was bleeding, you know. And they have this guts and they wear it all to walk and tell the Jamaican people that they're not giving the Prime Minister any props. When crime go up, who then call upon Brother Marlon? Tell the nation. When this country was bleeding, they call upon the Prime Minister to do something about crime. Not even Mr. Chang, but so more than the Prime Minister. And now the government put on their foot and doing something about crime. You understand? They don't want crime to go down. They don't want it. And when they go around Marlon and telling the country that the sky is falling, how are they going to fix it? Because look for how is rolling for shit. You have Peter Bunting, he was Minister of National Security. Yes, he was in the Minister of Health. You understand? Angela Brownberg, he was in the Minister of Local Government. He was water in a process to the administrator. Which McNeil was Minister of Tourism. So we're different. The
same recycled set of people. In the parliament yesterday, Fox, Anthony Hilton gave a presentation made his contribution to the sectoral debate. The same Anthony Hilton who achieved nothing as Industry, Investment and Commerce Minister. Yes? Only thing he came to us with was this crown and anchor business, which was just a farce. Total rubbish about crown and anchor. What people like myself have popularly come to dub as crown and anchor.
Time is going on, I want to give somebody a chance, but me and Simon Crackler say, nah, you're for you. After you get semi position, then nah, you're for you, you're to be here. But then now come the place where you is to listen to your brother Simon, Uncle Marlon. No, they not come. Because when they find out that 2 and 3 of them are road can't make one of you. He might want to call and say, oh, we're not here for Marlon, we're not here for St. Marlon. And you are on the radio 3 days a week sometimes.
There you go.
You are very accessible.
So,
and you are very accessible to the media. One more question, Marlon.
Yes, sir.
As a journalist, did the Prime Minister or the government is trying to stop you from carry out your work during your media space when you try to do your work as journalist. Take out the political hat for a minute and answer if the government at large trying to stop you guys in all the radio station and TV station we have and the other platform. If the government is trying to stop you from doing your work?
Not at all, not in the least bit. Because guess what is important, Fox? People will always have perspectives and anecdotes and whatnot, but we must think of facts, the reality, and what the empirical situation is. There is no trespassing on the liberties of persons as it relates to what you're talking about, work of media and their expression and whatnot. But we do know that there have been certain things that have served to that have been inimical to press freedom in the country, not least the attack on one popular media house, a radio station in particular, that they have dubbed a particular FM, and every so often you have the PNP, its officials, its leadership, and of course its supporters coming on media, going to political platforms and making very, very disparaging references.
Well, this little makeshift lady that is trying to run against Omar Davis in Montego Bay, Nikisha Burchell, is Saturday, I don't know if you see the Observer on Saturday, where she's trying to blame the JLP, the Andrew Wallace administration, for the fall, for the dip in the press world, in the world press freedom in Jamaica. I don't know if you see in the Observer.
Yeah, man, I saw a press release, and I can say the only inimical action as it relates to press freedom that would have emanated on the part of the JLP would have been the comments of one Clifford Everall Warmington. Yes? But separate and apart from Warmington, you have had Mark Golding going overseas to indicate that the media in Jamaica has been bought and paid for by his political opponents, the JLP, because he was lamenting Fox, the formidable nature of the JLP's communications.
Yeah, Mr. Marlon, it's nice to be here, my brethren, but keep the fire burning. Me like those interview you have this morning.
Yeah, man,
but yeah, all right, keep it up. When could be somebody's a call. If anything, I shout you about better, Marlon.
Yeah, man, all right. We have lines available, callers, 212-9824, and there is also 462-0919. Just to repeat the numbers, 212-9824, and there's also 462-0919. The sectoral debate, listeners, as you may appreciate, is on in earnest in the lower house. The Minister of Legal and Constitutional Affairs made her contribution to the debate yesterday afternoon. Yes? And she played the clip that I would have played on this program last week, which captures the opposition leader speaking in his own words as he did back in, March of 2022. He was speaking in the budget debate and he was touching on the matter of constitutional reform here in Jamaica. And the opposition leader, Mark Golding, made mention of the point that, listen, we have had various iterations and attempts at constitutional reform in this country. And while the matter of Jamaica's final court is a contentious issue and is not yet settled in terms of consensus between the opposition PNP and the governing JLP, he, Mark Jefferson Golding, who others refer to as Marky G, was imploring the government to proceed with those things on which both sides are agreed. Malahoo Fort played that in the parliament last afternoon. Yes? And it goes to underscore that the same gentleman who made that call some time ago has since come to disavow and separate himself from the action the government has taken in relation to approaching constitutional reform on a phased basis, utilizing the phased approach, the very phased approach that Mark Golding would have suggested when he spoke in the budget debate back in March 2022. And so the Minister of Legal and Constitutional Affairs, Marlene Malahou Forth, in making her contribution to the 2025-2026 sectoral debate, exposed the opposition leader for what he is, a flip-flopper in chief, a politically opportunistic, a politically expedient person who is not principled in relation to standing for and standing on the positions he would have previously taken. Do we have another call? We're trying to make contact with a caller seeking to get through. Numbers are 212-9824, 462-0919. So that is 212-9824 or 462-0919. I'm imploring those persons who have a proclivity for a certain perspective to challenge yourself and pick up the phone and call in. So the Miltons of this world, yes, the Africas, the Marshes, the Als, pick up your respective devices, challenge yourselves, and call into the program. Good morning, caller. Welcome to Straight Up.
Morning, sir.
Morning, Mr. Lewis. You're one of the more sober ones. What's on your mind this morning?
Some of the time.
Well, you're correct.
I want to speak on unity.
You want to speak on what?
Unity.
Very well. Go ahead.
Yeah, they say unity is strength. A house divided against itself cannot stand. And I think one of the biggest problems, if you can put it that way, with us black people is that we allow the capitalist system to divide us. A certain set of people then to divide us. So they encourage us to war against one another, set up fractions, etc. And in the long end, we spend a lot of time killing one another and not uniting, and the whole away poor and a few are very rich in the society. So what is happening now in Africa is realize certain powers, they are so much afraid, so they are trying their best to overthrow those who see France and America as the rapers, put it that way, in the system. So they are trying to kill them. But it's happening right here in Jamaica too, because we have the churches that are dividing up people, and we have the two political parties that are dividing up people.
All right, Sir Lewis.
Yes, sir.
As human beings, we are all fitted with a brain and senses, right? When I say senses, I'm referring here to organs that allow us to perceive the world, interact with the world, make sense of the world around us, right?
Yes.
And the gist of it is that we will not all see the world in the same way or through the same prism, and that is precisely what gives us divergent views and asymmetric thought. In other words, I wouldn't preoccupy myself with the divide that exists among people. In Canada, you have liberals and conservatives. In the US, you have Democrats and Republicans. In Jamaica, you have labor rights, PNP, and you have no P. And of course, you have persons who are faith-based, proclivities. Yeah? So people are free to believe what they believe and so on. And I would necessarily want to suggest that a society should be a monolith where all of us hug up and sing Kumbaya and we believe in the same thing. It just doesn't work in a practical sense. It's not possible.
I'm not looking at it in the extreme sense, you know, because if you look what Traore now doing in Africa, it's like a miracle, right? They are now working for the total development of their country. They have the goal, they have this, they play off their debt,
And other countries are following, and they are realizing that they are not trapped in an economic system the way certain people would like to have us. Because right now, we're going to have, no matter which party win the next general election, we know that it's not going to be easy to fix back the economy of this country. To pay the workers to do this, because under this devaluation of our dollar, and we're not really earning anything, because when you take it out, we have to be importing so much from America and those other countries at high cost. So how we all compete with America?
What is the rate of exchange at present, Lewis?
Sir?
What is the rate of exchange? US dollar to the Jamaican dollar?
150
right.
something.
It has been at 150 something for the past umpteen years. Is that not correct?
Yeah.
So how do you reconcile that? Hold on. How do you reconcile that with the utterance you made a while ago about this devaluation in dollar? You see any dollar devaluating?
No, it's over years, you know. I'm not talking on that JFJ or whatever.
I see. You mean over...
I'm talking over the years.
I see. Because that's a feature of a market system and a free exchange rate.
Under the IMF, one of the first things where they tell you,
they want you to devalue your dollar so that your exports are cheaper. Yeah.
That's what them say. That is far as economic.
Yeah, man, that was one of the long-time prescriptions. Remember those days when the IMF had the one-size-fit-all?
Yeah. Because in the long end, you know, they give you $10 and then make $1,000, you know. Because you have to import their goods. And they put in a whole lot of things.
They call it conditionalities, Lewis.
Right.
So they impose a lot of conditions. So you're getting $100, but it's not $100 just so. You have to do this, that, and that. So what per conditionalities
and in long end, you're trapped in an economic system where you can't come out of. Because when you're bigger, you know, anything where they stipulate, you know, so then come down and buy out your hotels, buy out this, buy out that, force you to do this. And you can't, it's like you can't say no because you have the people to serve. So we have to wake up and realize, say, well, boys, we have to do things differently. The system where we get trapped in, it's gotta be hard, you know, because
so Lewis, because one of the things we are very big on here in Jamaica, is that we will look at developments further afield and we will hail them. But because of our own domestic politics here in Jamaica, we are not going to be as amenable to or as appreciative of developments that pertain to Jamaica, land we love. No.
Yeah, that's why I say.
Here in Jamaica, watch me now, because I'm going somewhere with this, sir.
Yes, sir.
We have a school bus system for rural students in Jamaica taking shape and being upsized. Yes, scaled up as it were. What do you make of that? Because I'm thinking of Traore, you know. I'm thinking of Traore and all the things that are Traore like.
It's an excellent system.
Very well.
But if the students, and we take it too, because a lot of these students, if you now play nastiness and allow them to drink rum and actually have sex in a bus, then they're not coming on the bus. But it's an excellent system. Yeah, it's definitely an excellent system.
Now, what else is Traore doing in terms of social reforms that you find admirable?
Well, my views are always radical, you know. I don't believe we should allow any country to come and mine out our resources and give really and nothing. With the hotel, I think we should sign some agreement that they're gonna buy with cabbage and with lettuce and just flood the market with cheap stuff from foreign. Things like those.
Yeah, well, I note your philosophical orientation. One of the things that is of paramount importance, I find, Lewis, because you realize that's what is happening in Guyana as we speak. When Jamaica would have come into bauxite in terms of its infancy, Jamaica and Jamaicans, and certainly Jamaican-owned companies, would have been divested of the skill sets and the competencies to do the bauxite mining, no so? Now, the challenge we have had is that we have not had sufficient knowledge transfer and capacity building to do the very things that others have come here to do. So, for example, that the Chinese operated mechanic shop over in Ferry, over by St. Catherine, right? Consider for a moment if you had a facility such as that, which is highly acclaimed, considered to be efficient, considered to be a one-stop shop where, you know, you get your vehicle sorted out and you get it sorted out without breaking the bank. Would it not be good if you would have had a stipulation where Jamaican workers, Jamaican nationals, by necessity, have to flank these Chinese operators so that over time our own people grow to become as efficient as they are? Because yes, we do have our young people in automotive training programs through Heart NSTA, through Jagas, for example, but the Chinese have had a way, or at least they are thought to be persons who are very adept, highly proficient, and just very good at what they do. They are efficient, they do the thing fast, and they do so without you having to break the bank.
I think it go back to science, you know, the amount of effort that they put into new technology, you know, pushing science. I think we should have a ministry that deals with science and technology, research, and all of those things to push our economy, you know. And what beat us as Jamaicans, you know,
we
don't know if we deal with consumers.
We do. There's the Ministry of Science, Energy, Technology, and Transportation. And we have the National Scientific Research Council, the SRC, Scientific Research Council.
Yeah, I think we should have just a ministry to focus on research, science, research, technology, basically that. Because, you see, we're not doing enough research. All bogus not saying nothing, Scientific Research Council not saying anything. They are weakened, and I think we have the skills in those sections to deal with. From say, Lecky and those guys, what we really accomplished in say, research in agriculture? Very little.
Well, Bodle's doing work, man, and they have built up certain strains of different crops. For example, as you know, we have had to grapple in this country with lethal yellowing with respect to our coconut.
Lethal yellowing is coconut industry board. But even with that, you know, there are diseases. Now we are wipe out the dwarf, you know. I have a stem rat that is killing it.
But and that's a good point you're making, because we have to remain on the cutting edge, Louis, because the truth is, innovation will keep us in a position to be responding in real time and effectively navigating the vagaries of the world within which we operate. Because you have the pod rot that affected cocoa some time ago. We had lethal yellowing, and you have other things. The frosty pod rot I'm referring to, frosty pod. Zine, I have other things that emerge. Now, the idea is that just like a hurricane and just like certain unforeseen, you know, developments, you will have these things coming up. It is our capacity to be resilient and adaptive and maneuver in real time and respond to it in real time that matters.
Yeah, that's why we need a strong research section.
We need a strong scientific community.
Yes, I go back to you know, we need to cooperate.
Because you just mentioned, you just mentioned Lecky, a man who was on the cutting edge of, you know, experiment and breakthrough, creating what, the Jamaica Hope. He was credited with the Jamaica Hope, which is a breed of cattle that is deemed to be suitable to the Jamaican climate and context. Name them. You said there are 4 breeds that
Jamaica Red. Yeah, the Jamaica Red, which is the beef cattle.
Yeah.
You have Jamaica Black. Yeah, the Jamaica Hope.
Hope is what? The dairy one?
Dairy, yeah. That's one of the best dairy animal. Because it cross about 4 different breeds, you know. Because the Holstein, that are the black and white one, it used to give a whole lot of milk, but
So the yield was good. Mm-hmm.
yeah, so it crossed it back with some other breeds from, I think, India and so on, we could stand ticks, the ticks diseases and so on, and the heat. So in a long end, you end up with a breed where you call it Jamaica Wolf.
Mm-hmm. All right, thanks for your input and insights.
Yeah,
man, as always, Lewis. I appreciate the call.
Respect, sir.
Yeah, man, all the best, my brother. Have a good rest of the day. So we are going to go to the break and come back at 11:10 with more here on. And the lines are 212-9824. That is 212-9824. And there's also 462-0919. I'm imploring those persons who are particularly vocal on a Monday and on a Tuesday, when the narrative is one way, kindly challenge your gray matter, if you have any. Challenge your brain, pick up the phone and call in and let us discuss the issues of the day, the issues confronting Jamaica. Call in to the program. We have a call online. Good morning, caller. Welcome to Straight Up.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Good morning.
Yeah, man. The name is Mr. Portmore.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm in St. Catherine. St. Catherine. Let me ask you something. You see, I realize that things is not wonderful in Jamaica, and I am speaking from this perspective. We have the gas going down. You understand? Inflation going down. So, why is it that things keep on going on? Why is it? Is it that there's a plot to bring down this government? Why is it that we are so hard on our people? I mean,
well, the first thing
we don't need to be raising things.
The first thing, we live in a market economy. In terms of basic food prices, I'm seeing where prices are coming south in the marketplace. String bean, onion, scallion, tomatoes, carrots, you name it. That's what I'm seeing.
Yes, that you're seeing.
Yeah.
Let me tell you something.
Mm-hmm.
Let me tell you something. One thing a ripe banana for $100. You can't buy an orange. It is out of our pockets. You understand? And trust me, we are getting these things. When people go to the country and buy these things and come back up, they get them for little or nothing, And then them shove up the prices like that. That's not nice. Sorry, there's something in my throat, I don't know.
Well,
this
you
is what I'm
make
observing.
a good point, caller, because the truth is that in a market economy, the consumer is king. And so if a man who is enterprising chooses to be not just enterprising, but usurious and rapacious by going to the country, let us say him go up at Louisville and elsewhere where, you have Mabel Orange, you have Parson Brown, and so on, yes? Artinique and thing. Purchases oranges and comes back, jack up all kind of markup on the thing, and comes to sell the orange at prices that are, astronomical. As consumers, we need to be exercising, yes, what we have available to us. As much as it would hurt us, yes, because sometimes you really want the right banana, you really want the orange, you're trying to make a particular dish at home and you really need X, Y, or Z commodity. But there are instances where we just have to forego the item, make it tender and rotten pan the stall of the orange vendor, if the orange vendor is proving to effect astronomical pricing.
Alright, I'm going to show you something, you see? And I'm going to tell you this, just listen to what I'm saying. In the past, there was price control. I know that when Jamaica started borrowing from the IMF, they told them that they had to abandon the price control and make it a free market. Now you see what the free market is doing to us. Now that we are not with the IMF anymore and we're not borrowing anymore, we have to get sellers and shopkeepers back on track because you cannot leave it to them alone. If you leave it to them alone, poor people are going to suffer.
But Carla,
and this is something very, very, very serious.
Carla, this is a matter that is a bit more complicated than you are making it out to be. And so I'm going to do what others do not typically do. I want you to consider Jamaica as an open market economy. Sadly, because we are not as productive as we should be as a country, we rely heavily on imports. In fact, our taste as a people has so evolved that we have been shifting away as a people from some of the things that we should really have on our plates. So you have Jamaican households with waffles and Aunt Jemima's syrup on the table rather than a peg of roasted breadfruit. You see the point I'm making? So now, we do have some merchants among us, Carla, who have to purchase inputs into their production from abroad. A man who sells chicken, for example, who produces broiler birds, he relies on the feed that is necessarily manufactured here in Jamaica, but the feed that is brought in as certainly inputs in making the feed is brought in from the United States, for example. So we have these exposures to imports and the realities in other countries and in markets over which Jamaica has no control. But the point I'm coming back to, in keeping with the example I gave, is that in order to quote-unquote keep these people in check, we appreciate that. Listen, if you stop at stall number 1 and the vendor at stall number 1 and keep up arms house, to the extent that there are 10 other stalls on the stretch. You remember when we used to have Faith Spend? And let us say right now we have Aki Village over in Portmore at the roundabout there. If you stop at the first stall, or you sell the brochure, and the person said them have the brochure for 8 bills, and you move on down the line and inquire about the same brochure, and you find a man who have a reasonable size brochure for 5 bills, which of the man do you patronize, Carla?
You patronize the man who is selling reasonable.
That is it. So, I'm imploring our consumers, but I understand you know. Yeah, go ahead.
All right. You are saying that we should be careful, be wise.
Because the power is, yes, because the power, you have the power as a consumer, my brother. The money don't leave your pocket unless somebody thief it out of your pocket. So you have the money in your pocket and you make the purchasing decisions that you see it fit to make. Make the man who is selling $1,000 breadfruit, keep the breadfruit so till the poil upon him. He must have to take it feed hog.
I hear you, but I'm going to tell you something. We are a set of people who follow.
No, you broke up a while ago. You broke up a while ago, Carl. We're a set of people who do what?
Who follow people.
Yeah.
Like, for instance, if I am selling for $10, and the next person selling for $50, and I see that person selling, you understand? Although I'm selling, I'm looking at myself and say, but I could have made X amount of profit selling at $50. You understand?
Indeed.
So I went to my price.
Because think about it, Portmore. As much as there are some among us who like to knock the Chinese, what do you observe about Chinese merchants insofar as their business model? They have a quick sale, small profit model, do they not? They have a low margin, large volume in terms of sales model, do they not?
They do.
That is it. So a person who buy a case of banana chips and sell each single banana chips for $50. Mr. Chin may sell this individual banana chips for $30, but he ends up selling more cases of the banana chips than the person who is selling each unit at a higher price. And so consumers may well have to look to the options that suits them in terms of a vendor, a merchant who is giving them, in their view, best bang for the buck. So you stop and buy from the man who is selling the East Indian mangoes at the competitive rate. Because I have a man, for example, from over in St. Thomas who I patronize whenever I'm getting East Indian mangoes. This man sells the basin of mango quite reasonably. Just last week, Wednesday, when I left here, I bought 2 bases from him, one at $2,000, some larger ones. There were 6 of them. It was a basin with $2,000. For $2,000, and I bought another basin from him. Those were some smaller East Indian mangoes, and he had those going for $1,500. So when I inquired as to the prices from him, and him said this for 2, this for 15, I quickly gave the man the 3.5 and bought those 2 basins of East Indian mangoes. I have 2 in my fridge up to right now, and I bought them last Wednesday, sir.
Okay, I hear you, and I understand your point. Understand, and I hope that listeners who are on your program will listen and understand how to go about.
But I do understand your frustration, sir. I understand your frustration. Because indeed, some merchants, some of our vendors operate like them a harbor shark and operate like they have no conscience whatsoever. Because in this country, we often see price going north. But when the market moderates, sometimes it is very, very slow in coming back south in terms of prices than they did in terms of when they went north. So sometimes the price don't come down at all, and if it even come down, it comes down very slowly over a protracted period of time. We're seeing that, quite frankly, with interest rates. When interest rates were going up, Portmore, the financial institutions tended to jack up the interest rate fairly quickly. My mortgage rate went up. The amount I pay each month for my mortgage, it also went up because interest rates went up. And look, interest rates have been going down. I say, anybody has sent any letter to say the interest rate have come down? I am awaiting my letter from Jamaica National. They have not yet sent me that letter, sir, to tell me that based on reduction in interest rates, they're reducing my mortgage rate and blah, blah, blah.
You understand my frustration.
I understand very well, my brother, because I live here too. I'm not at Harris.
And I'm going to tell you something again. Just like the politics.
Yeah.
It's just like the politics. My government is doing exceptionally well. Exceptionally well. You understand? And I talk to some comrade. You understand? Some comrade who, trust me, it seems as if they are living in a different country. It's not Jamaica they live in. You understand? They said to me all the while, they don't care as long as their party is in power. And I'm saying,
that is the thrust and outlook. Sir, you are deluded, and you are deluded and deluding yourself if you get up a daytime and keep up argument with them there. I would implore you to do something constructive and productive and go and ensure that you interface with those persons who are thinking people, and you may be able to win over the support of those people. So focus on the young people in particular, focus on the uncommitted people, message to those people, and leave the people like Alan Marsh alone. Make them stand there, because those people are wedded to what they are wedded to.
Well, all right. Send a message to the people in St. Catherine. So, when I go over in Big Rob's constituency and Mr. Terlam's constituency,
yes,
I see a whole lot of work going on. And when you come into St. Catherine, so there's nothing.
You're right.
Nothing.
I traverse those spaces. I see Grange Lane. I see the widening that took place there. I see work on the I-95 and so on. And Fitzjackson's work rate, sir, is very, very low for true. Very low.
I am going to say to them, and I'm charging them because I know they are not stupid. And they are sensible people. It's just that maybe they weren't thinking straight. And I would love them to get to know politics, because a lot of people are not aware of what politics is about, why you have politics, and what is really the background. A lot of people say, well, I not get nothing from them. Them in a power, I not get nothing from them. But yet, I said to them, you have to ensure, the government have to ensure that you have a good economy. When you have a good economy, you can have water coming through your pipe. You can have a steady flow of work so that people can get work, so that your family can be okay. Everybody has to learn to take care of themselves. But if the government cannot look after the economy, then we're dead.
There you go.
And trust me, Andrew Holness has been doing so good for this country. He is, trust me, I am not a chicken. I am a rooster.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm telling you, over my years of living in Jamaica, this government, and I say that Mr. Seaga never do good enough. And when this country got the backlash, was after they voted out Mr. Seaga. After Gilbert, the dollar was $5.50, and it stayed there during Gilbert and after Gilbert until the election came, and then voted out Seaga. And there goes the dollar. And Jamaica went down with it. And when you talk to PNP, them say, them never care. It's just that them party have to be in a power. It's as if they don't care about the country. And yet them ball, and them same on a ball, nothing now go on. And them put in the situation.
My brother.
Them a Fincher, they don't want to talk about Fincher. You understand? They don't want to talk about Fincher. If Mr. Seaga was there wouldn't be any Fincher.
There you go.
You get it I'm saying? There wouldn't be any Fincher.
The people we see running up and down the country, I hear some of them talking about what come from what not come, not realizing that time done for them, quite frankly. What you have to understand, caller, is that for many of them, it is a personal, a personal benefits, what you call it now, pursuit that they are embarked on. So they are only preoccupied with, when Freedom Party come to power, what will you call the word now? What things can be channeled to them. Like you heard a certain man in a certain voice note talking about how him gel up and grill up the thing. You recall that?
Yes, I recall it.
So that's the thing, gel together. This is Andrew Swaby, the mayor of Kingston and St. Andrew. Yes?
Mm-hmm.
Who was on those recordings talking about the thing, make the thing gel and grill up and whatnot. And we would have seen exported WhatsApp clips, or chats rather, where a staffer at the KSAMC is indicating to Lawrence Rowe that this $300,000 that he's getting in December of last year was not for public consumption. For some of these guys, some of whom used to pick up the phone and call into this space and talk the rubbish that they talk, particularly in certain periods, yes, that is what is in it for them. To be told to go down to a municipal corporation and pick up X, Y, and Z, and nobody must know. So that's why you hear that. That's why they're so zealous, and that's why they sound so desperate. When you listen to the calls into Radio Land, when you listen to the commentary on social media, you hear the desperation exuding from them. Because when you look at the actual empirical stuff, the country is actually being managed well and going in an appropriate direction. So those things that they want to celebrate, like the so-called, recession. And I keep making the point that while Jamaica has in fact registered 2 consecutive quarters of economic decline, which is not surprising within the context of a category 5 hurricane, the truth is that the notion of of 2 consecutive quarters constituting a recession is a fairly antiquated notion. So says the head of the Planning Institute of Jamaica, Wayne Henry, when he made the point that the more contemporary approach is to look at what is happening. So you dig beneath the surface, caller, and look at what is happening with economic activity in the country in terms of what is happening with consumers, what is happening with job creation, what is happening with consumer spending.
And before I go, I'd love to say to the Jamaican people, those of you who have gotten things from the PNC, it is not time to think about what you got from the PNC.
Like some of your neighbors. Like some of your neighbors there who talk about house and where they get house in Greater Portmore.
You must now talk about where Jamaica is coming from and where it must go. Because your children and grandchildren is going to come up. And if the country don't go in the right direction, then God damn them suffer. You cannot put people in there who is just promising. You know what Andrew and the Jamaica Labour Party is doing, and you can put a pot on the fire and know, say, you're going to get oxtail or curry chicken to cook a little more. It's just like the people when cash pot used to sell 2 numbers a day or 3 numbers a day. A lot of people used to catch it very often. But now that them start selling like 5 and 6, you hardly can catch it. That's why you know what the Jamaica Labour Party is doing. So don't listen to those with promises. Vote for Jamaica, because Jamaica must come first.
Caller, it was just this past weekend. I'm in certain WhatsApp groups, you see? And in one of the groups, that infamous clip from Peter Bunting, his call for divine intervention, was circulated. Bunting essentially abdicated as National Security Minister. He threw in the towel because, among other things, he said that despite the best efforts of the National Security Forces, he is not convinced that any serious headway is being made. And in fact, he said, we need divine intervention that will essentially touch the hearts and whatnot of the people in Jamaica. And where these people are now doing something, he's criticizing.
Listen to this. His leader is now bigging up the police force. And the hypocrite, couldn't even say, but the Prime Minister is doing a good job in ensuring that they put in the good resources.
They won't give credit where credit is due. Yeah, man. Anyway, we have to run to the break, call. I appreciate your call this morning. Do call again. Don't be a stranger to the program. Thank you so much, Portmore. All the best, my brother. Good. We'll go to the break and come back momentarily with more here on Straight Up.
News Talk 93 FM. Heard
into 212-9824 or 462-0919. On the front page of the Gleaner this morning, there's a story or a report by staff reporter Andre Williams, and it is captioned, "You're gonna get cameras so till you don't know what to do with it." And it reads thus: Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness says Jamaicans can expect a flood of surveillance cameras as the government ramps up its technology-driven approach to crime fighting. Responding to repeated public questions about the Jamaica Eye program and the failure of the Jamaica Constabulary Force to deploy body-worn cameras on planned operations, Holness said that not only are cameras being installed, but the scale and sophistication of the rollout will be unprecedented. So for all the people who are quick to report, where are the cameras? Where are the cameras? You're going to get cameras until you don't know what to do with it. Then you're going to hear the complaint. We have too many cameras, Holness said, adding that persons who are trained to monitor the cameras must understand the rules of privacy. The Prime Minister made the comments on Tuesday at the commissioning ceremony for the Olympic Way Jamaica Eye Monitoring Project at the Olympic Gardens Police Station in St. Andrew. He said that the government is close to launching a centralized C5 command center where surveillance from across the country will be monitored. Quoting the Prime Minister again, So all the people talking about cameras and body-worn cameras, come on, man. The government knows what it is doing. We are moving with speed and alacrity to have it installed, that our police officers have body-worn cameras, and as fast as possible, we want to have those deployed. But we don't want to have cameras that we put on and it doesn't work, he said, noting that the footage has to be captured and stored in a retrievable manner and be of high quality for evidentiary use and cannot be manipulated. So Prime Minister, in his own words, say to people like Michael Jackson, John Clark of JFJ and others, and indeed to persons who occupy platforms such as this, you're gonna get cameras until you don't know what to do with it. But one thing is for sure, one thing is for certain, the crime will continue to go down whether some people among us like it or not. 38.4% reduction in murders, yes, based on yesterday's numbers that came in. So the authorities are tracking the numbers every day. And Andrew Holness, take it, me tell you, say, Andrew Holness is watching these developments, and he's watching them keenly and quite intently. Whereas Bunting bald and abdicated, Dr. Horace Chang, Andrew Michael Holness have their foot on the job and have their respective hands on the pulse. Good morning, caller. Welcome to Straight Up.
Yes, sir. How you doing?
I'm fine. And you?
Not bad, not bad. You know what it is?
Yes. This is a great Cleveland. Thank you
Yes,
for
sir.
calling in, Cleveland. What's on your mind this morning?
Well, a lot of things, but that interview this morning with Miss
Dr. Winsome Gordon.
Winsome Gordon
Yes, sir.
was a very revealing interview. You know, because I've been listening to different arguments, and
Yeah.
when the Senate passed the bill, I'm sure they interviewed the president of the JTA, and he was in agreement.
Mhm.
And I was surprised afterward to hear when the PMP start change the whole thing, to hear him now disagreeing with the teaching council. You know.
Yeah.
And I'm happy that that interview went on this morning. I'm sure a lot of people learn a lot from it.
Because as you realize, I ensure that I crafted my questions appropriately. And
Yes.
just to be clear,
Yes,
the producer there at NNN canvassed me yesterday as to any issue that I would have wanted to put the spotlight on. And I chose JTC, that JTC issue, because I'm very seized of what is happening in the
Yes.
public sphere as it
Yes.
relates to this ongoing public debate.
Yes.
And I always, Cleveland, have a vested interest in the public having a better understanding and appreciation
Yes,
of things,
yes, that's what
whether
it's
the
about.
JLP is in power or whether the PNP is in power.
Yes, sir.
When people are empowered in terms of the information, they are likely to better understand the issues that
Yes.
confront the country
Yes.
and make decisions
Yes.
on that
That's
basis.
what the Jamaica people need.
There you go, my brother.
Better understanding on whatever subject which they're talking on, you know.
Because if you listen to the debate ordinarily, you would get a clear sense, Cleveland, that whereas other professions are essentially superintended by the professionals in that profession, so for example, the nurses, the
Yes.
doctors, the lawyers,
Yes.
the architects,
Yes.
the
You think it's
engineers.
just the teacher alone, one they're calling on to have a license.
Yeah, you would get the impression that in relation to the JTC, that the teachers are not figuring prominently on the board, and that is not the case.
Yeah, they give us that impression.
I went
You know?
through on this program earlier this morning, and we tallied it with Dr. Gordon, and there are 19 slots for teachers.
Yes.
Yes, on the Jamaica Teaching Council when it
Yeah.
will come into force or come into effect sometime from now.
Well, it's unfair, boy, how they're treating these different issues, and every one of them becomes so political. You know, it's not necessary at all. Yes, we
and
may have a bias
yesterday-
for our politics, but certain things I don't think we should just bury down in the politics like that, because our people need to understand. We have to have these people to be a part of the whole development of our country, you know.
Because you
Right.
see, ideally to Cleveland, this Jamaica Teaching Council matter, right? It has been outstanding for too long. It has been too long in coming for there to be any stark political divide on it. But just to be clear, we have a very opportunistic person serving as opposition spokesman on education. My producer on this program played last week reactions from Peter Bunting or comments from Peter Bunting in respect of this Jamaica Teaching Council matter last week, where he welcomed the bill. He noted the, to use his words, the elephantine gestation that it has had. But he's delighted that we are where we are and looks forward to working things through and whatnot.
And even Mr. Chris, come on
and as Nationwide carried some time ago, you would have seen from the former education minister, one of those persons who had a part in this bill, making the comments that he made when he spoke elsewhere. And he actually underscored in that interview, Cleveland, that his views do not necessarily converge on, with that of the PNP, because he knows that his position is sober on the matter, but the PNP has to be playing the politics on the matter.
And I'm sure a lot of people this morning is surprised to know that even the teachers going overseas to work have to have a license. And then they're not start teaching over there until they get the license.
You see, Cleveland, when we had that by-election in Southeast St. Mary, one of the things that came to the fore was the issue of ratings for Jamaica, how people see Jamaica, how people view Jamaica. That gentleman, Shane Alexis, about him did want to be member of parliament, has been in this country for the vast majority of his life. And the gentleman essentially had nothing as it related to Jamaica. You recall?
Yes, nothing.
I suspect he had his Canadian passport and some other citizenship from some country down the islands. I think he may have been Grenada or whatever. But Shane Alexis, who living here so long, but never felt it necessary to take out a Jamaican passport or to apply for Jamaican citizenship. The man was not a citizen of Jamaica. Having man live here and work here, But it comes to the question of how people view Jamaica, how people regard Jamaica. You see the man who walks around and pee all over the country and discard refuse from his car, just toss things through the window, he would not dare do it in London.
No, never.
He would not dare do it in Brussels
could never get away
or in
with
Amsterdam. Yes?
But they can't do it here.
So one of the things we have to focus attention on and put the spotlight on is just people's regard for Jamaica. It cannot be that people are under ratings for Jamaica. We know that the greenback is much stronger than our little Jamaican dollar. We know that.
Yes.
Zin? But watch me now. If you go to North Carolina and you can abide by and subject yourself to their regime in North Carolina in terms of licensing for teachers, why is it that you are so averse to adhering to a teaching council, a licensing and registration of teachers regime here in your home country, Jamaica? Come on, man. We have to look into some of these things.
The next thing,
yes, sir.
Read the mayor of Mandeville.
Sure.
Can you imagine that man is so bright that he would have come in and talking before people and said there's nothing that road I do to central Manchester.
The very mayor who doesn't want the development to happen in terms of the park because the development is not being done by the PNP that he loves and is a part of. The very mayor who did not support the bill did not present rather or provide to the ministry the bill of quantities for the
market
renovation of the Mandeville market by 31st March of 2022. That's the mayor you're referring to?
Yes.
And this is Donovan Williams, not Williams, Donovan Mitchell rather, of the Royal Flat Division there in Manchester, who is seeking to be Member of Parliament in Central Manchester.
Yes, and stopping development from happening right there.
So, to the
don't want
extent
the
that...
park to fix, you don't want the park to look after or anything.
But you would have heard the incumbent member of Parliament, Cleveland, enumerating no fewer than 35 pieces of road that she would have repaired since
I've been following her
taking
online,
office.
and I know this.
In fact, her name, Cleveland, her name is Rhoda. And what she has cleverly done, I think, is to play on her name in relation to road repairs and rehabilitation. So she has dubbed the program Rhoda Fix. Playing on her name, RHODA.
Yes. And I don't want anybody to believe that me don't live there, so me can't talk. I still have a lot of auntie and uncle and cousins
down that side of Jamaica
that live in the south of Manchester. Right? Because you recall Farm District.
I see.
Okay. Still have them there. And some of them hearing the talk all the while. So.
Well, Cleveland, the Minister of Legal and Constitutional Affairs made her contribution to the sectoral debate yesterday. And among other things, she played the clip where the opposition leader, the same man who has since registered an objection to the phased approach, he had called for a phased approach to constitutional reform. What do you make of that?
Yes. They're stopping everything so don't make the country progress. I don't know. I don't know what they want.
But Cleveland, the question is, do you get the sense that sober, well-thinking, law-abiding Jamaicans looking on are seeing through these people? Is that what you're picking up based on your interactions with the people with whom you walk, the people with whom you go to church? Do you find that more and more people are seeing for themselves that irrespective of the PNP's attempts to paint the Prime Minister as corrupt and talk about 28 accounts and nothing no go so? Yes? Do you find that these people are more looking at things that are actually being done and things tangible, such as reductions in murders and other things?
Yes, you still have some that the PNP brainwash, because they're good at brainwashing people. Right? But I think a lot of there's more people understanding and looking at the right thing, what is really happening for Jamaica.
Indeed.
Right?
All right. We thank you so much for your intervention and your call this morning, Cleveland. And don't be a stranger. Feel free to call in tomorrow. I'll be on tomorrow again between 9 and midday. So thank you so much. All the best, my brother. We go to another call. Just about 7 minutes going up to midday. Good morning, caller. Welcome to Straight Up.
Senator Marvin, morning.
Good morning, Al. How are you?
I heard you on Cleveland and the rest of them. Let me ask you a question.
Yes, sir.
With my friend, Senator Marvin.
Yes, sir.
I heard you and I listened to you. And all that you have been saying this morning. Fine, it's democracy at work. But I ask you this question. Why is it that it is so difficult that we want to pass laws and policies to govern teachers and licensed teachers, but we do not want to pass a law in Parliament to impeach corrupt politicians? Why is it so difficult? And I ask you against the background that, you know, across the globe, we see where all kinds of politicians that are in government, especially in Europe, and has done anything resembling cronyism and corruption, has either to step down or been prosecuted or sent to the Hague. But in this country, we are forcing other people to do things, but bad men are governing good people and passing laws for good people to comply. Why is it that there can't be no impeachment laws passed by the constitutional embattled minister?
All right, so first of all, Sir Al, first of all, Zane, we have bodies that are established, not least the Integrity Commission, which is the single anti-corruption body, prosecutorial body in the country. We have that body set up to be able to investigate detect and ferret out corruption as alleged on the part of our quote-unquote politicians.
Yes.
So, now, let the Integrity Commission do their work, and if persons are so proven, then the chips will fall where they may.
Okay.
Because...
Let me take some time. The same commission that I saw that the Prime Minister took to court that he formed, the same commission that I saw some JLP people, and I will have them picture, went out to the commission and demonstrate. So they must leave the Prime Minister alone. Let me just ask you a question. We see our institution that is created in this country has been attacked. Jamaica for Justice, the JLP came out after the road and cussed them dog rotten the other day. You know, cuss out the damn people, you know, where the division was created both blue and black by some people and going on media. Divide not the police force, but even the PNP was going to be part up.
So what you know,
the police was, the PNP was going to come up and come crush the police. Look here, I don't know when JLP start love police.
Yeah. So stick up.
I use JLP, I use police. JLP, I use police, my God. I use the police.
I'm going to urge you now, you said something a while ago.
Yes.
There's an aspect of it that is incorrect because you said JLP a protest against JFJ. There's no JLP person who
I have them out of office.
Let me say what I'm saying. Who interfered with JFJ? The JLP.
I was at office.
That's
I was at office.
Cliff.
I'm all of Senator Morgan. I was at office. And I hear them come out like accusing them of
Islamabad, Cairo or Kashmir. You could have been in the Vatican right now, in the Sistine Chapel, where they are selecting a couple in the conclave.
White smoke, Marlon, the white smoke soon come up to the chief list that you are elected as the Pope.
Yes, so the smoke has the same color as the opposition leader.
My friend Akumala, let me tell you something.
Yes, sir.
Let me say something.
Before you say that though,
yes.
I am putting it to you that in as much as teachers will have to be registered and relicensed every 5 years based on what is proposed at present, politicians, hold on, politicians, I'm saying, my friend, politicians come up for re-election every 4 or 5 years, and if they are considered by their constituents as being corrupt, they will do what persons did to many in the 2020 elections. Send them home.
Maybe you have to tell me now, say, if the student them see that the teacher is corrupt, then they mustn't come to school. You see, if I tell you something, look at this thing, my friend. You could be my son. You see, anytime you started to turn lie into truth and truth into lie, we are on a dangerous road. Look, I tell you why. Here is it that you're going into election and you wanted to campaign on something. And the only thing that you can find positive to campaign on is the death of Jamaican. Right? We're dead and say that these people are dead. And there are less death in Jamaica than before. That's all. Feeling the health because hospital is 20 billion I can't done. All the administration party.
When it done, I will say. When it done, and the constituents love it, you will see. They say the corner regional is just like pregnancy. A something will come and a something will go. See? Anyway, I have to leave it here this morning. Cut off the call. You know it's not going to end. Cut off the call quick and fast. Anyway, thank you for your intervention this morning, Mr. Al. We are bringing the program this morning to a close. I want to thank my broadcast technician and producer, Tanya Richards, for steering the program this morning. I want to thank you, our valued listeners, for those who called in, and the contributors that we had this morning, Jillian and, of course, Michael from the Fulbright Initiative. To advertise with us, please call our sales agent at 427-9955. I'm Marlon Morgan, signing off for this Teachers Day. All the best.